this is like the rage part of Tren, like pulled out and enhanced to an even heightened extent. It's like the roid rage of Tren on steroids. What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com. Today we're going to be talking about halotestin. So this is a not obscure compound, but it is one that is not used very often, and frankly for good reason. It is highly toxic. The duration of exposure that can be used is probably only comparable to something like Superdrol or some of the other like really toxic orals that are not really like sustainable compounds for more than like 2 to 3 weeks ish without like massive organ stress. And it is famous for the way it affects behavior. So a lot of people, they assume, you know, Tren, like I did the video on Tren on how it's makes you super paranoid. Your mood is volatile. You could be have a elevated level of confidence, or you could just as easily turn into a paranoid mess of a person where you can't even fucking function because you think the entire world is out to get you, even though literally nothing is going wrong. You just get hyper paranoid about ridiculous shit that may or may not even be happening. Halo is a bit different. It doesn't really make you paranoid, but what it does do, this is literally roid rage in a bottle. This is literally like when you think of what steroids might do to your personality or your aggression or your flying off the handle. Like, yeah, Tren is going to make you have a short fuse and you're going to overreact to situations. However, this is like the rage part of Tren, like pulled out and enhanced to an even heightened extent. It's like the roid rage of Tren on steroids with none of not really the paranoia and suspicion that like everyone's trying to get you. It's really just like you're fucking pissed. Like that's what Halo is in a oral essentially. It also has significant cosmetic enhancing benefits, which makes it a pretty popular compound to use pre-contest, and obviously in a dieted down state where you're literally in the steepest calorie deficit you've been all year. Your single digit body fat percentage, you're peeled, you're tired as fuck, like in the worst, most compromised state of health, micro and macronutrient deficiency, excessive energy expenditure, feeling like just absolute dog shit. Throwing Halo on top during the last few weeks is a strategy a lot of bodybuilders use to achieve that really grainy, hard, dry look. And you can just imagine what that, you know, already short fuse on a bunch of other shit, what's gonna happen to that when you throw Halo into the mix. It's literally like, get the fuck out the way, dude. You're a dick. Like, you're not gonna respond well to anything negative during this time frame whatsoever. So this compound is it doesn't just exacerbate a bad personality. In fact, it can like literally make you pissed. Like that's the best way I can describe it. And famously, like, it has very few like actual applications, I think, in a performance enhancing context. It really makes sense for deployment. And interestingly enough, it's actually like, it was FDA approved. I think it is still FDA approved actually for androgen deficiency in women for breast cancer treatment. Like, it's not used for that anymore now that we have like novel serums and stuff like that. But like historically it was approved for that, and I believe it is still approved in general, just not for that use specifically. And it was also used to like push teenagers through puberty that were having like, that weren't going through puberty. I'm just like imagining some poor 10-year-old kid who gets like thrown on fucking halotestin, starts beating the shit out of his classmates. But anyways, it's the androgenic to anabolic rating is kind of fucking irrelevant at the end of the day. It is a highly androgenic compound. It's fucking horrible for hair. However, the duration of exposure needed to yield the effects it provides are so short that it is not going to be as dramatically bad for your hair as an alternative compound would in the DHT derivative family that would otherwise produce the same or similar cosmetic, like dry, grainy look. So for example, if you had to choose between, you know, 2 weeks of Halo versus 6 weeks of Oral Winnie, like what is safer for the hair? Like fucking Halo for sure. And you're probably gonna get a better looking physique versus the Oral Winnie, to be honest. Or, you know, comparing even Halotestin to Anavar, like you'd probably be better off with the Halo if you were going to compare actual body composition outcomes relative to one another with actual legitimate halo. Like, it's not easy to get good halo, and it's not easy to get real VAR either. But still, at the end of the day, like, I would, halo for the duration of exposure is probably going to be the more hair safe option for that like polish versus a lot of other options based on the duration of exposure that they may need to be used to kind of like yield the effect needed, or the dosage needed to be used to yield the body composition changes required. So in that regard, it is often deployed last, couple of weeks as the kind of icing on the cake, as far as who was that said that like 50 times. I was doing a video, I think it was like reacting to Santi Aragorn's, I probably just butchered that last name, but Santi's steroid cycle before. It was like, I just remembered every like 10th sentence was icing on the cake or some shit like that.
The icing on the cake.
For like every compound. But anyways, yeah, halo is like, it is also often used for like acute, well, I shouldn't say often, but it's used for acute performance enhancement. So like in an actual sports context. So for something like famously, or sort of, I guess like underground famously for boxing, apparently was pretty popular. And the reason being is like before you get in the ring, you pop this shit, you get super fucking like want to fight people and aggressive and like angry and shit. And it can enhance your, I guess your neurological, just not only just like motor unit recruitment, accuracy, overall neurology, but it can just make you like pissed off and like want to fuck the guy up who you're standing across the ring from. So obviously that's helpful in like an acute performance setting. And then as far as bodybuilding, like really it's not a compound you would ever use in the off season. It's something that only really makes sense the last couple of weeks pre-contest, or I guess maybe if you were a power lifter for like, or like an arm wrestler or some shit for some sort of like acute, performance outcomes. But other than that, it really doesn't have a place in like especially a long-term protocol or just like an off season trying to accrue new muscle tissue. It's just like, it's not useful. And it would not be my choice as androgen replacement either, which is what, historically it was like one of the few compounds. Like there's not a lot of compounds that were used for hormone replacement. So the fact that like some of the choices are just really interesting. You have like Dianabol and Halotestin. Like you would not think those are two that would be put in the same like category of clinical applications. You know what I mean? So anyways, it is very, I don't know, one-dimensional in that area where it's sort of good in the sense that you kind of know that you never really need to use it. And frankly, it's a good thing that it's the compound you don't really need to use, because it's one of the most toxic ones and one of the shittiest ones for you. So for me, I used it one time in the past, and I'll never use it again. Not that I would, I'm not gonna use a bunch of the shit I've used before again, but I mean, it was literally in the context of trying to like peak my body composition during a like extreme cutting phase. And like other than that, it really had no place personally. And at the time, did it make my hair loss worse? Yeah, it fucking did. And that was only for like a couple of weeks of use. But for most people who are like not running a bunch of shit adjacent to it and are just like have like a relatively, moderate protocol, and that's like a polishing touch, those 2 weeks of exposure, I don't think are gonna like make or break your hair loss for the year. However, they may make or break your relationship. So be careful about that. So this is like the Roid Rage in a bottle product. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any experiences with Halo. How did it compare to other compounds for you? Did you find it any more problematic than Trenbolone in a sheer getting pissed off context? Not necessarily paranoia, but just like which one made you more angry of a human? And any other experiences are much appreciated. And maybe at the end of this series, I will, like I had the reacting to your worst steroid cycle, horror stories kind of thing. Maybe I'll go through the all the comment sections of the what blank makes me feel like videos about all the different compounds and start collecting like all the best stories, and then make like a follow-up to that series where it's like reading your best stories about your experience and how you felt on blank. So anyways, drop those down. They help the algorithm, and they may help contribute to new videos in the future that I can react to and laugh my ass off to. So also educational opportunity for everyone else. Some people want to know about Halo, presumably is probably why some of them are here, so any experiences, practical application, takeaways that you can provide, drop them down, comments down below. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas I designed myself from scratch. And anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.